It was the Sabbath, and Jesus entered the synagogue to worship. The Sabbath was a time for contemplation and relaxation. It was established by God for the purpose of pausing work to rest in Him. Some of His critics were in attendance as well, waiting for any cause to rebuke Him. As Jesus entered, He saw a man with a withered hand. The Pharisees watched Jesus closely as He approached the man. They were waiting for Him to heal him. They were waiting for Him to break the Sabbath law and work. Jesus knew their hearts. They had completely missed the point. He took the man with the withered hand and looked at the Pharisees. "Tell me," Jesus said, "is it lawful to do good on the Sabbath? If there is someone in need, should we let them pass? What if their life is in danger? Should we let them die?" The men were silent, for Jesus was revealing their legalistic hearts. They didn't care about people. They only cared about looking righteous. "Stretch out your hand," Jesus said to the man. And in that moment, the man's hand was restored. Everyone marveled and rejoiced, but the Pharisees left and gathered together, seeking for an opportunity to destroy Him. Jesus took some of His followers to a mountain. A great crowd followed them and remained at the bottom of the hills. Jesus looked out at them. His heart ached for them. They were like sheep without a shepherd. The wind blew at the top of the mountain. Jesus' eyes began to water. "Do not pray for the harvest," Jesus said. He gestured to the people below. "For there is a great harvest before us. Pray for the laborers, for the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few." With those words, Jesus appointed 12 men to be His apostles, chosen men that would follow Jesus everywhere. These men were not chosen for their knowledge, status, or accomplishments. They were chosen for their hearts, their weakness, and their willingness. He chose Peter, who was once called Simon. He chose James and John, the sons of Zebedee. He nicknamed them Sons of Thunder for their fire and enthusiasm. He chose Andrew, Philip, and Bartholomew, the silent and humble servants. He chose Matthew the tax collector and Thomas the skeptic. He chose James and Judas the zealot. One of the most unique men He chose was Simon the zealot. He was one of the notorious dagger men, a league of assassins trying to overthrow Roman rule. However, Simon renounced his old ways for the sake of following Christ. Finally, He chose Judas Iscariot, the man who would betray Him. He chose him and loved him, despite knowing who he would become. This was the heart of Christ. Jesus' first call to the disciples was for them to be with Him. They would sit by the campfire sharing stories and hopes. They would know Jesus as a friend and King. Out of that relationship, Jesus would send them out to preach, heal, and cast out demons in His name. The disciples were empowered by Jesus, and their strength grew day by day. "Whoever desires to come after me must first pick up his cross and follow me," Jesus said. "Whoever holds his life too dear to lay it down will lose his life. However, whoever loses his life for my sake will truly find it. For what does it profit a man if he gains the world's possessions but loses his own soul?" Jesus called His disciples to something higher. Not religious repetition or vain practices. He called them to lay down their lives, money, and convenience so that others may thrive. Jesus would model this call Himself. He would sacrifice everything so that people could be renewed.